Welcome to my video, How to Grow a Coaching Business Without Sacrificing Your Lifestyle. In this video, I'm going to start by laying out the problem that I see and how a lot of coaching businesses fail to make people happy. The next thing I'll get into is the solution to that and how to create a sustainable, scalable, enjoyable coaching business for the long haul. Coaching is one of the most joyful and enjoyable practices and professions in the world, if you ask me. And maybe that's because it totally aligns with my personality and my lifestyle. But when I started my coaching business, it wasn't all that lucrative and it certainly wasn't all that fun. And that's because I fell into a trap that a lot of coaches fall into, especially at the beginning. And that is selling time for money. I didn't really know how to market and promote any other way. I saw that all the other coaches and consultants in the world were charging this way. They were selling sessions, they were selling hours, and so I figured, well, this is the way it's done. I should do it this way too. The problem with that is that within a few years, I hit my max capacity. And I was still not making enough money. And on top of that, even with all the work that I was doing, my revenues were up and down like a roller coaster, super unpredictable. So selling time for money is pretty much always gonna lead you to the same place. If you're good at what you do, you're gonna hit the point where you can no longer sell any more hours. And you might not be able to raise your prices anymore without being uncompetitive in the market. So what's the solution? Well, what I did and what I highly recommend doing is to create a new business model. Your business model is, I like to define it as the mechanism by which you turn your magic into money. Now, my business model, the one we've been talking about, was a time for money model. I was selling my expertise in the form of hours. Now, there are other business models in coaching that work way better. Now, why is a business model important? Well, aside from the fact that it's going to determine how much money you can make and when you make it, it also determines the kind of work you're doing and who you're doing it with. Ultimately, your business model impacts every aspect of your life, including how much of an impact you can make in the world, because it determines how big you can scale. So let's talk about 3 different ways to scale a coaching business. The first and most common lately way that I see people wanting to scale is to create do-it-yourself online courses that they can market and sell on the mass market level. Now, those are amazing. However, I want to point out that in order to make a whole lot of money selling low price point courses online, generally you have to have a lot of traffic or an already existing audience, a big already existing audience. So this is not the strategy I would go to first. If you've been successful as a coach one-on-one, you have case studies, you have testimonials, you have people who love you, but maybe not a huge list or a huge audience, I would move to plan B. Now, before I get to the second option, I do want to invite you to subscribe to my channel and like this video. And even better, maybe even make a comment on this video and share with me how you're doing in your coaching business, and maybe even ask me a question about how I can help you. So the second way to scale, and this is the way that I recommend scaling next, if you meet all those criteria, that you have one-on-one business, that you have good clients, that you know what you're doing already, that you've got some experience, then I recommend moving into a retreat and group model. What I mean by that. So a retreat model is one where you invite people to enroll into a small, intimate event where you're going to do some breakthrough work together. And from that retreat, you invite them into a 1-year group coaching and/or mastermind program. Why do I love this model so much? Well, if you want, check out some of my videos about my retreat business model. I have a whole playlist. You can check it out by clicking on the link above and opening it in a new tab so you can watch those videos later when you're done with this video. But in a nutshell, a group model is, I think, the most amazing way to scale a coaching business without sacrificing your lifestyle, because you leverage your time, which is obvious, and you also leverage the magic of the people in the group. So this model fully depends on your ability to curate really good people into your programs. Why? Because it matters. Those people that are in your programs are going to be part of the reason that people want to stay in your programs and enroll in your programs. I love the group coaching model beyond every other model because it's allowed me to scale my business, scale my impact, make more money, and have more joy. And that's probably because I'm a people person. So if you're not a people person, you probably shouldn't be coaching in the first place, but you definitely don't want to be doing a group model. And one of the coolest things about this model is that it has legs. When I started my group coaching program in the beginning, I was really honestly just selling a program. I hadn't really thought about the vision for it or where it was going. I remember when one of my clients, my first client, Leanne Webster, came to me at the end of her first year and said, "So what happens now? Do you kick me out of the group?" And I was like, "No, let me go see." I hadn't even thought about what came after that first year. Well, here we are 6 years later, and Leanne Webster's just headed into her 7th year of working with me. These group programs can create really powerful bonds and connections that people will keep investing in year after year. So it's the gift that keeps on giving. And people like Leanne now, they come back to my breakthrough programs and they help to support me in delivering value to the new people and even enrolling those new people because she's able to share her experience from a place of knowing and having been in it for years. So I'm a big believer, big fan of that model, but that's not the only model. Let's talk about model number 3. Model number 3 is commonly called train the trainer. In coaching model number 3, what you do is you basically take a back seat and you don't necessarily provide the coaching directly to the clients anymore. You hire and train other people to provide that coaching, or you license other people to provide that coaching. A great example of this is my dear friend, Mike Michalowicz. He wrote a book called Profit First, all about how to manage money and finances more effectively if you're an entrepreneur. Now, instead of him coaching clients how to do that, what he did was he trained a cadre, an army of accountants and consultants, trained them in his Profit First methodology, and then they go and they deliver the training and the consulting and the work to the end user. And so what ends up happening with that type of train the trainer model is he doesn't have to hire trainers. He doesn't have hundreds of employees. What he has is clients who are the providers of the service. So his clients have gone from being the end users to actually being the service providers. And those are now the people that he markets to and sells to. Now, the thing about this model is, I think you've already gathered, you can't just jump all the way to the end. It takes some time to build the credibility, to build the content, to build the signature systems, to build all of that out and get to a place where you have a train the trainer model. In fact, the way that I would recommend scaling your coaching business and growing it would be to start by mastering the one-on-one component. Maybe take about 6 months, maybe a year to really dial that in, get some good case studies and testimonials. Then I recommend moving into the retreats and group mastermind model. From there, perhaps launching some sort of do-it-yourself course, online piece at a lower price point to capture those people that couldn't make it into your retreat and mastermind program. And finally, using all that methodology that you've just laid out to train trainers so that they can go out in the world and deliver the services to your clients. If these strategies appeal to you, and especially if you like the strategy that I'm using for retreats and masterminds, I want to give you a very special gift. And that is the opportunity to have a connection with me in person. You can go to superstaractivator.com/go and sign up for a free discovery call. Come, bring your questions, and I promise you that it'll be worth your while. Enjoy.